My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave Duo. And have you ever wondered how hoarder houses, clouded titles, and creative financing could lead to real estate success? Well, today, my guest, Nicole Richards from Next Phase Investing, has mastered these unconventional strategies and is here to share her secrets. Nicole, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here.
So can you tell us about your real estate journey and, how Next Phase Investing kind of came to be?
Yeah, sure. Well, it goes back a long ways, but I'll keep it brief. I'm a third generation realtor, so just grew up in a world of real estate talk constantly. On the way to childhood vacations, it was stop and fill up the flyer box before we head off to Disneyland. So, and table talk about transactions and such. So, I knew I was going to be a realtor at some point in my adulthood, and I got my license shortly after I graduated from high school. I think I got my license the first time in 1993. So it's been over 30 years, and it's been an awesome career. I love it, but later on, I found a real passion for real estate investing, not just being in the agency portion of real estate. And so in 2017, made a concerted effort to really delve in and learn all the aspects of real estate investing. So that started with a commitment to just consume as much content as I could, either through books or podcasts or what have you, and just listen and fill my mind with all of the tools of real estate investing. So I could really walk that walk and help guide other people in that as well. I would say a lot of the things that I picked up during that time where I was really just trying to fill my mind with that was just using the assets that you already have and making sure that they're optimized. So at one point, I looked at our own personal property and decided, what could I tap into here in our primary residence to really optimize this? And a couple things came to mind. First off, we had owned the house for a number of years, and there was a lot of equity that had built up in it. But through all the learning that I'd done, I realized that that can be considered debt equity, and it's not really being utilized to its fullest potential. So we did a very hefty cash out refinance on our property. We actually, because rates were so great at that time, our payment literally didn't go up hardly at all. So it was amazing. With what we were able to capture out of that, we were able to invest and start our real estate portfolio of properties. So that was really exciting. We did a number of different things with that, which I'll touch on in a minute. But the other optimization that I wanted to implement was renting out part of our house as short-term rental and doing kind of a house hack. So when my daughters went off to college, we put a wall up, we got a permit, and we started renting out half our house. And so really powerful to be able to offset all of your living expenses with rental income and not really change anything about your own personal living environment. It didn't affect us hardly at all. So it's been a real blessing to be able to do that. Allowed us to save more for investing in other properties when we weren't contributing to your largest expense, which is housing. So it's kind of a long answer there, but
yeah, no, I mean, that kind of brings us kind of up to date. So what inspired you to explore some of these unconventional strategies like hoarder houses and clouded titles? Because there's easier ways to buy and sell property,
absolutely.
hoarder houses especially.
Right. Our first flip that we did was a 3,000 square foot hoarder house slash I'm going to say drug house, but they weren't making drugs. They were just using a lot of drugs in the home. They destroyed
Hmm.
the entire house, and lots of murals on the ceilings and lots of drug use going on in there. Had to remain boarded up the entire time we were working on it because it had been a drug house for so long that even though we had bought it, druggies continued to return to the property thinking that we would be somebody they could get something from. And so it was
Hmm.
really hard to do a flip when your windows are boarded up and you're in the dark constantly. It just like changes your mood when you walk into the place. But that one required seven 40-yard roll-offs to clean out. Plus the lot was huge. There was a lot of debris on the exterior of the home as well, and it caught on fire. So let's just add all that in. So it was a real piece of work, but I
A
think we were able
smoking
to
hot
turn that.
deal.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yes. We were able to, from purchase to reno to closing, I think we accomplished that in about 4.5 months.
Hmm.
We used a combination of some of the funds that we got from our cash out refi, a combination of hard money, and then we also did a program called Fund and Grow, which is basically business lines of credit at 0% interest. And I'm a big fan of that. I've done that 3 times. And it's a really good solution for people. So if anybody wants to know more about that, I'm happy to give a good shout out to them. So
Yeah, business lines of credit. That's one way that people are financing the flips, especially the last 20% or the renovation and stuff like that, because if it is seasoned,
yeah, funding.
yeah, you can
Mhm.
usually use that. So, um, you know, how did you learn initially about these creative financing methods like the line of credit and stuff like that? What motivated you to kind of explore those?
Well, like I said, it was a uh, something that I kind of committed to was listening to all the different options that were out there constantly. So, um, read lots of books, listened to Bigger Pockets, other podcasts, like podcasts like this. There's so many different great tools that people are willing to share what has worked for them. And something that stuck out in my head early on was oh, I don't have time to learn this. I can't possibly do it. There's no time to learn, but there's a kind of a no extra time. It's net. So
Hmm.
no extra time. And if you can fill up your no extra time while you're doing your mundane things, just listening to podcasts in your ear, you'd be surprised how powerful it can be, and information that you can draw on later. So like some of the Fund and Grow, the getting hard money, the optimizing and pulling the debt equity out of my home to use that, offsetting the part of my home that wasn't being used to create income. We also have done another pretty fun thing, which is we've started renting out gravel space, which is also optimizing. I mean, it was another area that we hadn't quite tapped into, but we recently used an app called Neighbor, which is similar to Airbnb, but it's for parking spaces. And so, I mean, there are some caveats with that. I think they could do a little better job screening and making sure people know how to drive big vehicles that they want to know how to that
Hmm.
they want to park in your property. But that can be another source of reoccurring revenue, and just creating as many passive streams of income as you can.
Like an RV or something, they'll bring and park on your gravel.
Yes, yes, exactly. So the very first person that signed up for it actually had come from buying a trailer. They met somebody, they paid the money, they hooked it up, and then they drove it over here. And my husband was like, "Okay, well, just back it into this spot." And he's like, "I don't know how to back it up.
I
We just
just
bought
bought
this
it. Yeah.
thing." So yeah, so you want to make sure that you definitely have people that know what they're doing if they're coming on and off your property. But
Hmm.
so we now do that a little bit more privately and not through that app. But in other scenarios, I can see that tool working perfectly for people. So I wouldn't rule it out altogether, but just make sure it's right for you. Yeah.
So, how did partnering with other
Uh,
people with your real estate help you extend your investment reach and really maximize your resources?
Yeah, I do think that partnerships can be very powerful. If you have a limited source on your availability of down payment funds, if you can find somebody that aligns with you well, I do recommend that you be very cautious as you're going into partnerships because, I mean, everyone has a horror story of how things went wrong. Don't ever
Hmm.
cut any corners. Make sure that every time you partner, you're officially going into that with legal documents and that you've talked out exit strategies. You want to make sure that when you're going into a partnership, everybody's intent is to go in and hold and make money or to, partner for a certain length of time and make money. But when the economy changes, if somebody else that you're partnered with is, hurting for money in that scenario, they might want to sell the asset and you may not
Hmm.
want to. So those are things that you need to have foresight about and address that ahead of time. Talk about what would be the exit strategy that both partners would agree on in a scenario when one wants to sell and one doesn't. So, it could cause a loss for both partners if one is forcing a sale. So these are just things to be aware of. But in our scenario, it's been nothing but positive. I've loved our partnerships, and we have done the Burr method with our original property that we bought together and use that to go by the one I think that you're referring to with the clouded title, which was, oh, such a great story. That one, real estate's so fun. I mean, it's never the same situation twice, but there was um, probably 15 to 20 clouds on this title of this property that we bought, and it took me over a year to get them all cleared. And but we were able to secure such an amazing price. We also, to have a little heart in the real estate investing portion is good too. But we were able to prevent somebody from being put out on the street because they were about to entertain foreclosure for non-payment of taxes. So we were able to keep them in their property, and we renovated the other side. It was a duplex, and the rental income on that side does really well for us. And we still have the original tenants that are doing what they can. But yeah.
Hmm. So with that clouded title, if someone's thinking about taking that on, what advice would you have for them?
Don't rush. I think it's really important to work closely with a title company, find out exactly what all of the different liens are or judgments. Um, Also, you do not have to pay what the recorded lien is. A lot of times they're willing to negotiate, and I recall probably being able to knock 25 or $30,000 off of what was requested on the title, and I didn't have to pay that. I was able to negotiate many of them down substantially. And they were just happy that they were getting anything at all. Because if it had gone to
Hmm.
foreclosure, they probably wouldn't have gotten anything. There was nothing there. So they were
Yeah,
grateful.
that's the thing. It's like if you let it run any longer, it's
Mhm.
going to be 0% of zero.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
reflecting on your journey, what would you consider your biggest success in real estate?
Hmm. Well, definitely making the decision to go for it, and to create a business around that. I think you can go into it casually and just kind of do one here and one there, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. We did that as well. We still just my plan is, buy one property a year pretty much and try to stay on that. Although some years I've done more than that, and
Hmm.
other years it's been a little bit more difficult, and I've had to make multiple offers on things trying to get accomplished what I wanted to get accomplished. But um, having a business or formalizing an LLC around what you're trying to do does allow a lot more leverage into other lines of credit that may be available to you, and not just trying to run it solely, just kind of as a person buying investment properties. If you can put them all into LLCs, have their all each having their own bank account so that you can prove that when you're paying taxes, and you can just use this and really roll up and have a lot more available to you to help you. A lot of people struggle because they have difficulty time finding capital, but if you try to make it very legitimate with businesses, then you have a lot more to draw from.
So on the flip side of that, what's been the biggest challenge as far as identifying and pursuing your next or your current investments?
So I have been looking for a larger purchase. I call it a needle moving purchase, something that's really going to change, our family's life. And at this point, we've done single family, we've done short-term rentals, we've done duplexes and fourplexes and things like that, but we're yet to purchase a very large asset, either multifamily, or I've made an offer on an RV park, and I've entertained storage units. I've been running numbers on those. It's not really penciling out. So, but trying to find something bigger has been a challenge for me. I want to keep my down payment available so that when I find it, I can go for it. But
Mhm.
meanwhile, other great deals keep coming up along the way, and I'm like, do I want to like deploy some capital over here? It's hard to preserve the nest egg. I feel a
Mhm.
little guilty about that because I want every dollar out there working. I call it every dollar has a job. And so when it's sitting in an account waiting for me to deploy it, sometimes I get a little anxious about it because I want it out there working. So
Yeah, the money's like burning a hole in your pocket.
yes, yes, exactly. Yes, yes.
So you mentioned starting an investment meetup group for your local community. How's the networking and shared experience with the other investors kind of contributing to your growth and learning?
Right. So the investment meetup group in our area has been great. We've been doing it since 2020. We used to do it every month, but it really was a lot to prepare for. So we are now doing it quarterly, and that's plenty. Um, just it's really nice to bring in specialists too in certain topics. So we've done residential infill. We've done all the different creative ways that you can take title. I've had title agencies come. We Our next one is going to be about seller carried financing and private lending, which I do a lot of. I think it's really very powerful, and I would encourage anyone that's getting started in real estate to maybe start their searches with seller carried financing, because if you can find a seller who is willing to be creative, a lot of times you can save a lot of costs and a lot of time and headaches from getting the original investor loan. Can be very challenging for your first few until you can prove some HUD or Alta statements that you have some successes. Then they're really going to gouge you with lenders. So it's good to get some of that out of the way and just do seller carried.
Especially in today's interest rate economy.
Yes.
So, what advice would you give to aspiring real estate investors looking to connect and learn from others in the field?
Well, I think it's one thing that's been powerful for me is to reach out to two different lenders. I set a goal of two a week, whether they're private lenders or just regular conventional lenders. I want to spend time on the phone with them or in coffee, over coffee, whatever, in person over coffee. I just feel like the plans and the loans that are offered are changing constantly. They're always trying to
Hmm.
create a new product that's available to help ease people into this. But, everything comes with a little caveat. And so, the DSCR loans, the debt service coverage ratio loans, those are really fantastic products, but, they do have a higher interest rate. They can come with prepayment penalties. And so unless you're sitting face to face with the lender and really talking this stuff out, and you want to know how it's going to affect what your next goal is, then you just have to be talking to lenders. I mean, they're the key to your funds, are the key to real estate investing. So you got to figure out
Hmm.
which one's going to cost you the least amount of money, and how many you can get, and how you can keep buying
rinse
properties.
and
Where's
repeat it.
that
Yeah.
funding coming from? So on and so forth. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
looking ahead, what are some of your current investment goals? How do you plan to achieve them?
Oh, yes, I have so many goals. It's hard to focus sometimes, but I definitely am looking for that needle moving activity, that bigger product that I'm trying to bring into my portfolio. Um, I am licensed in Oregon and Arizona, so I do have a real estate license, and I'm looking for some development opportunities in Arizona, and maybe transitioning a little bit between here and there. So I think in the next 2 years is going to be pretty exciting if I can pull off a bigger purchase and be buying some more property in Arizona. The deals aren't quite as good there as they were in
Yeah.
2018 when I started buying over in Arizona, but there's still some nice investments there. So
People figured it out and then they went there and now it's not so cheap anymore. So given the challenges with the cost of money and the interest rates, how are you approaching fundraising for this big deal, the needle moving deal? What strategies are you employing to attract more investors for that?
right. Well, I do a lot of private lending, or matchmaking, I should say, for my clients, particular that want to do real estate investing, and then also people that are investors that want to lend money out. So I've done so many of bringing people together like that, and I think it's really. I consider it just like a win-win. It's double because somebody's getting their deal done and then somebody is getting a great deal on the return for their money being rented out. So I always want to make sure that somebody's in a very secured position, a good rate for first position or a really amazing rate for second position if they're willing to take that risk. But we don't want to take advantage of anybody's generosity and not have them very protected. So that's definitely paramount. But I can pull some of that together for some of my transactions that I want to do as well. And so I'll be looking for something that has seller carried financing, and then I might need to pull in some gap funding on my own. I did just do a really good round of Fund and Grow. This is my third round with them at 0% interest for 12 to 18 months. And I was able to secure $155,000 at 0%. And I cannot wait to deploy that. So
Mhm.
um, it's ready to go. And it's
They
powerful. When you
they
got
got
money in your pocket, you can find good deals.
yeah, so with everything you've done in real estate, what would you say your secret sauce is? What comes easy to you that other people might find difficult to do?
Hmm. Well, I probably a natural networker and matchmaker, and I also told people what I was doing. And I think it's really important that you let people know, hey, I'm getting into the real estate investing space. If you hear of, somebody that has somebody passed away, they want to, offload their aunt's property that she just left, mentioned that there's somebody out there that can help them. And so and I always try to have real estate with a perspective of you can do it and help other people at the same time. I am definitely not a shark, but I do just fine, and I can sleep good at night. So I think that's really important. And I really just continuing to learn. This never stays the same, and we're in a very interesting market right now. I would encourage people that if they can figure out how to invest right now, they can invest anytime because it is hard when money is expensive. But deals are still getting done every day. And so there is an opportunity out there, and people really should find a way to create more passive streams of income, and not just count on one W-2. We're just in this uh, weird cycle where people are just a number and they can easily get laid off, and you just don't want to
Mhm.
leave your whole financial future to whether or not a company has to watch their bottom line and lay you off. So if you can build some protection in and find some other ways to create income for yourself, then I highly recommend that. Doesn't have to be full time, but just doing it on the side is plenty for a lot of people.
Yeah, supplement your retirement savings, keep the properties, maintenance them, hopefully get good tenants, and real estate typically doubles every 10 years. So when you
Yeah,
look at that property, you bought it for 100, maybe it's worth 200 in 10 years and you've paid it down some amount. So there might be $100,000 of equity in there. So
exactly.
um yeah, so if people want to connect with you, they want to find out more, what should they do? How do they find you?
I'm on Instagram. It's Nicole Richards _investor. Also, my investing business name is nextphaseinvesting.com. So you can go to that website and you can reach me there. Yeah, those two probably would be fine. Yeah, I'd love to
Awesome.
talk with anybody that has questions about any of the private lending or fund and grow or any of the things that I've experienced. I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for having me on today.
No problem. And until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.